Good morning guys, Chris at the Ultimate Recycler. I'm down the back lane of my shop. This is part 14 of the Great Backyard Cleanup. This laneway is the area I've done most of the work in the previous parts and a few other little projects and discoveries on the way. But this video is a little bit of an update more than cleaning, although we certainly need to do a lot of cleaning. And I find it rather amusing that I'm up to part 14 and the yard is still a mess. So there's going to be lots of episodes in this series. But there's a little bit of a kicker here. There's been some developments with my block, with my property. Well, it's not actually mine, I rent it. And my landlords have decided they want to sell. So the real estate people are going to come in. Oh, by the way, we actually made an offer. It wasn't anywhere near what the landlords were looking for. And given that the old building, and we'll go for a bit of walk in a minute, given the old building needs so much work, we were hesitant to offer a lot more, but that be, you know, if it's meant to happen, it's meant to happen. But it's going to go through the real estate agent at this stage. They're going to do some drone footage of the backyard. They're going to have to do footage of the house and, you know, obviously describe it on the real estate sites and try and find a buyer. Let's go for a walk anyway, and this episode will involve a bit of cleaning, but really it's just a bit of an update about what's happening with my place. Okay, this back lane looks a bit cluttered, but it's pretty organised. And I am a second-hand business and I do a lot of scrap metal, so it's not going to be a nice, sparse, empty yard, even when I'm totally happy with it. So today I'm actually going to start loading some stuff in the van. I'm going to do a load of scrap down to Melbourne, and there'll be a video on that very shortly. In fact, you may even see that one before you see this one. I'm going to load the trailer up with some light steel that I don't want, like these mattress wire assemblies and things that I don't want to take to Melbourne. And also this mattress here, I think I'm going to just have to bite the bullet and pay to get rid of this one. I don't have time to deconstruct it. You know, I'm just going to have to probably cut a few jobs short and do a bit more of a clean-up quickly to make the yard a little bit more presentable. I'm not going to go out of my road. All this light stuff here I'll take out of the transfer station. But I'm planning to take this load of cast aluminium down, and I've got a lot in tubs. I think I'll probably get around about a tonne in the van, and they've offered me a pretty good price at the moment. So as I said, we'll do a separate video on that. I did have plans of moving this van around to the other side and accessing the container, but look, while we're walking around, I'll have a chat about what's going to happen with this block. If it's purchased by a developer, they'll probably want the whole lot cleaned up. They'll kick me out. They'll possibly demolish the building, and that will be sad for the town and sad for my business. This area here I've been levelling out just yesterday. I had dug a bit of a trench along there to clean up some of the block. There was a lot of rubbish in the ground. I also did have a bit of a look for bottles. Didn't find any though. There was some evidence of them, and we'll have a look at that in a minute too. But I'll continue to neaten all this up now. A lot of my firewood, I might just have a bit of an afternoon cutting it up and take it home in boxes, because I burn it in the shed at home. I clearly need to get rid of some of the quantity of stuff here. And if the property does sell and I have to clean up, you know, hopefully I'm going to have 90 days or something to do it, in which case I'll close the shop, which will be very sad. But I'll basically close the shop and do a load of scrap each week, and I'll be able to live off that for a while. Look, I'm confident that things will work out the way, well, they'll work out the way they're supposed to. If the building, I don't know that it's ever likely to be purchased by a developer, because the block isn't that large, and there's a few vacant blocks of land in the commercial district in town at the moment, and they're just sitting on the market. So I don't think that's likely to happen. We're on the opposite side to the lake. I'm just scanning around all these piles of stuff at the moment. I've got some old paint here I've been getting rid of. The cans will go for recycling. I think the place is more likely to be purchased by a investor that wants to keep a tenant in here. The issue there is that if they put the rent up, I'm going to move out anyway. So I'm not sure if it's actually that enticing for anyone to buy. Maybe the landlords will come back to our offer and accept it. As I said, whatever's meant to happen is going to happen. Now, there is a lot of stuff still here, and as I said, even though I've done quite a few parts on this backyard cleanup, it doesn't look very clean at the moment. But this is the middle part of it, and I haven't really tackled any of this. I have compost bins in there for my worm tests and composting experiments. And a lot of these things you see are just empty tubs and that sort of stuff. There's some e-waste I'll get rid of today. I was going to do my Deca scrap series on microwaves and clothes dryers and washing machines, but I think I'll probably have to scrap that idea at least with regards to the bigger stuff, because I just do need to reduce the amount of stuff here. This is the area where I had that great big beautiful tree, and it's quite sparse now. I've been working on that bench over there. That's quite nice on mild days, but when it's hot, it's not very nice to work here. So things like those aluminium deck chairs, I was going to do a little scrapping video on, then I might just throw them all in and take them down as dirty aluminium. I've got a bit more copper there to get rid of. So anyway, that's what the yard's like at the moment. It does look rather messy still. Hello Coco, how are you this morning? But it won't take it much to actually make it look a lot less messy, because as I said, once I move just containers and buckets and firewood and all that sort of stuff, it'll start to open up quite a lot. See, under here I've got some clothes dryers that are all packed full of pressing steel, and I could load them up in the trailer and clean that whole area up in a morning. So there's my worm test areas over there. So I better get into it. It's probably a good time of the year to do a lot more in the garden. We're getting to the end of summer and the days are a bit more reasonable for working out here. So okay, I better hop to it. With regards to this video, we might just continue cleaning up that area down the back where I had leveled out that hole and I was looking for bottles. Let's go and have another look there. Also, there's a lot of grass and whatnot. I don't like using sprays, so you know, the grass tends to take over a little bit and it does look very unkempt, but it's pretty easy just to weed it and chip it when I get to an area, and then I'm not using sprays and all that sort of stuff. Sometimes I have to use them. Let's walk through here. There's a bit of a workshop in there. I've got just a lot of stuff stacked in there that I've purchased over the years, and of course the shipping container over there is full of treasures, so it's going to be a big job to clean the block up. I'm certainly hoping I don't have to do it in a hurry. So this area I've cleaned up pretty well. I had some mattress here. There's mattresses that I've deconstructed. The padding's gone to the worms. The spring bases you saw before we'll take out to the transfer station, and these matting sections are actually making really nice sort of ground covers, because they will break down. They're a natural material, and Coco loves playing and rolling in them anyway. This area I had a little bit of a look for bottles and neatened up. There was a lot of rubbish in the ground here and bits of wire sticking up and everything, so I was planning to work my way across the yard and actually just neaten it all up and get it nice and level, so it's much easier to look after. And this is the area where I was going to put the old van. You can see I did find a bit of old stuff in the ground. There's some really nice old china fragments here. This little ink bottle is a bit damaged, but that's an 1890s, what they call a penny ink. There were some old necks of bottles, pretty early stuff here, but I didn't really find any full bottles, or nothing to speak of anyway. But it's a bit of fun, and who knows, there could be some nice old bottle dumps in this yard, and I may never ever find out, particularly if it's owned by someone else. There's the top of a torpedo bottle, which is 1890s again. Coco's got the zoomies here, having a bit of fun running around, aren't you? Okay, so I'm going to probably continue in this area. It might not be today, but this video will concern just cleaning up all this area and disposing of some stuff, and just making a little bit more organisation in the yard, particularly if they do some drone footage from over above. It's going to, you know, it might put off potential buyers and I might get it cheap, who knows. Since we've been talking about the property and the value of it, here's the front of the shop for those guys of you who haven't seen it. It is a very old building. It probably dates to the 1890s, and it would be such a shame for the street here to lose this beautiful old place. It's got a lot of history. It looks really good from the front. It was repainted a couple of years ago, but only the front. And as I think I've mentioned, I've actually been in business here for almost 20 years. I'll have to look up the date. I think it's about 20. I'm not open today, as you can see. There's Christine's shop next door, which if I do have to leave this place, we might try and share that shop. We have a few plan Bs and plan Cs. But let's have a look through the building. We won't do a shop tour as such. I've done them before, and if you look at my playlists, you'll see that. But let's go and have a look. It's a beautiful old shop for what I do. But I don't see many other options for an investor if they buy it and put the rent up and it finishes my business. I don't know what they could do with it because it's not suitable for hospitality, for food, and the building itself is very rough. Whoever buys it is going to have to be prepared to spend a lot on it to bring it back up to stable condition. The floor has issues, it's up and down, it's bouncy, there's areas where the floorboards are actually very creaky. The old building itself, this part has actually been relined with plaster years ago, but most of the building is the old lining boards. So we'll just quickly walk down to the back room. So this is my shop, and as I said, if you want to see it in a bit more detail, I have done some walkthroughs while I've been open. But you can see the angle of the chimney there and the boards. The actual roofing boards sag a little bit. There's holes through the wall in places where there's been white ant damage. So I think if I owned it, and if they do somehow accept our offer, I think I could give it a bit more life, a decade or two. I could possibly lift the floorboards and concrete the floor, reline parts of it. I'm just walking down the hallway now towards the back door. It was a residence out the back, and we've got a lot of glare coming through that back door. Sorry about that. It's quite a narrow hallway. I've got a lot of stuff out here. This is kind of storage for my business now. That is an original bedroom, which is full of boxes of stuff I've recently purchased. So what was I saying? I don't know who would use the shop and what they would use it for. And as I said, they'd have to put a lot of money into it. This is the back living area that now is storage, and I do a bit of e-waste scrapping here, and I sort out stock that I'm buying. There's a couple of old chimneys that are no longer used as fireplaces, and they've moved a bit. And if you look up the top there, those lining boards, see that ripple? That's really only paint. There's no timber left behind that. There's been white ant damage over the years. I don't think there's any in here now, but certainly the building needs a lot of work. The entire roof is corrugated iron and it's quite rusty. It needs replacing. This is a kitchen area, and there's a lot of stuff in here that I've recently purchased, and we process a lot of stuff in here. If I do move out, we'll be taking that stove because I put that in. There is no cooling. There is no heating other than the heater over there, a gas heater, which I put in, so I'll be taking that as well. This place would look really sad if I moved out. I think it would almost be condemnable. I'm not sure, but look, I'd love to save it. But of course, for that to happen, we need to be able to buy it. And part of me thinks, oh, it's probably a bit too big a project. I don't know if I really want to take that on. The weatherboards out the back are pretty rough. There's been sort of renos done over the years. I mean, obviously this window section isn't old. It's been replaced, I think, in the 80s. They did some work to it. I actually rebuilt this back porch completely at one stage because it was in danger of falling right over. So I've done a lot of work here in the time I've been here, and I just rent it. But the landlords have been good. They don't worry me, and I don't worry them, hopefully. It has had a new hot water put in recently. But anyway, that's the building. This side I've fixed up completely. This used to be so overgrown with weeds you couldn't even see down here, let alone get down here. So I've made it very practical for my shop. But who's going to buy it and what are they going to do with it? Have a look at the state of the windows here. There's really been no maintenance done on here in this place for over 20 years. I think I did that. I think I put silicone in to hold the window about 15 years ago. So it would be a massive drain on anyone's finances to fix the building up. The weatherboards on this side don't look too bad, but it doesn't cop much weather this side. The other side is much worse. The weatherboards need replacing. The old chimney up the top, I think, has got a cover over it, but it's not in very good condition. So look, whatever happens, happens. I'm not stressed about it. It would be really sad for my business to be wound up. I would really miss this yard. It's a bit of my sanctuary out here, and I do collect e-waste, as many of you know, and when I'm cleaning out sheds I get a lot of scrap metal and stuff. So here's a great spot to sort all that and store it, and then organise to send it off to the scrap yards. If I lose the place, I won't have that ability. Christine's shop next door doesn't have a backyard that I can use. and I can't take the stuff home. But anyway, we'll leave things for that for now as far as talking about the place. I'll keep you informed with what's happening. I better get organised and load the ute and trailer up down the back and start moving some junk. Take a bit of stuff to the transfer station, and I'll be loading up the van to do a load to the scrapyard. So there's the trailer loaded with just some very tangly light steel, old rusted out drums, a couple of the wire spring assemblies from mattresses, things that it's just simply not worth my while dragging 2 hours down the highway to the scrapyard, so I'll take them out to the transfer station. The back of the ute I'll load with some e-waste that I no longer want, or I've salvaged what parts I want out of it. I'll load that up shortly. The backyard, or the back lane now, is a bit more accessible for getting my van down and loading up that cast aluminium. So now let's tidy up this video with showing you some actual cleaning, so this is one of the parts of the Great Backyard Cleanup. I have done a load of scrap to Melbourne, which the video is already up, and if you haven't seen it, I'll put a link up the top now. Very successful trip, and all the cast aluminium's gone. I've reorganised some of this lane, and I'll just step over this tin, and I've actually stacked some batteries there, which will probably go in the next load. So this yard is nice and neat as far as the lane goes, and I've got some empty barrels here to use for something. I've got these black tubs which were really good for tipping out, and they hold a nice weight, and these have been in the weather for a long time, and they don't go brittle, so they're really handy tubs, those. I've got a little bit more cast aluminium to sort out. I've got some irony aluminium here, which I might take at some stage soon. So the lane's pretty organised, and I have continued around the corner here, and you can see this area here is now quite neat. I've levelled it all out. I've just been swinging the shovel a bit today, and I've cleaned up this entire spot, so we are getting somewhere. And I've moved a few things there. I've got to get into that pile next. I'm going to leave these trees here. These are wild trees. They've come up from seed, and they're the same as the big tree they took out near the back of the house, but they're perfectly fine down the backyard, and it just gives me a little bit of shade to work under in the hot summer days. So there we go. I have made some progress in this episode, and we've had a bit of a chat about what's going to happen. So yeah, stay tuned. So thanks again for watching, guys. This ends another episode. Next episode will be part 15, and we will get a bit more of the yard done. It probably will happen fairly soon, considering what we've been talking about. And the latest, which I've only just found out yesterday, the property is actually going to be auctioned, and I think it's going to be an online auction. If it's an on-site auction, I'll actually film it, and if it's online, I might even be able to give you the link before it happens. I don't know a date yet. I think it's going to be just after Easter sometime. So look, as I've explained, this could be the end of an era. My whole existence in this place could be finishing, but I prefer to think of it as maybe a new doors opening, and it could be the start of a new era. So that's exciting. But otherwise, I might stay here. Christo and I had a bit of a chat, and we thought that it is possible that a developer buys the block with future plans, and he's just grabbing it while it's available. He might be more than happy just to keep my arrangement going, and I might get a few more years. So there's quite a lot of options in the boiling pot. Let's just see what happens. I'll keep you informed. Look out for my next episode. As I said, work in the backyard will continue fairly often at the moment. It's a good time of the year for getting out here, so I'll keep you guys informed. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.